All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 5:56 on Wednesday, the 4th of May, 2022. We now have a tornado down, so we'll go ahead and begin our severe weather coverage. The confirmed tornado is going to be with this thunderstorm that is located southwest of Paducah, southeast of Matador. We've had multiple reports at this point, and the Weather Service in Lubbock will undoubtedly be issuing a tornado warning on this sooner rather than later. We were planning on going live at 6 p.m. as it was, so it works for us. This is going to be a supercell thunderstorm, well organized and a right split. You can see we've got well-defined reflectivity structure. You've got your hail core followed by the hook echo with the rear flank downdraft on the southern flank. Now, let's go ahead and see which direction we've got this storm moving. Now, this storm is going to be moving more easterly now versus northeast. This was originally a single supercell. It split. Left split is east of Turkey, moving northeast at about 50 miles an hour towards Memphis. Right split, multiple reports of a tornado down. No tornado warning yet. There's going to need to be one 2 minutes ago. And there is a tornado warning now. And you'll see it here. It's going to be a tornado warning until 6:30 p.m. for portions of Dickens, King, Cottle, and Motley counties in northwest Texas. There's a confirmed tornado located over Dumont, or 18 miles northwest of Guthrie, Texas. This storm's only moving east at about 20 miles an hour. It's not fast moving. So again, we've got a tornado down with this thunderstorm. It's over relatively rural areas. It's not near any large communities or even towns. So this is kind of where we want it to be if we were going to have a tornado. So got reports of a small tornado. It doesn't look like it's fully condensed, as in the cloud isn't completely condensed down to the surface, but there's still a surface circulation. You don't have to have a visible funnel all the way from a cloud base down to the surface for it to be a tornado. As long as there's a ground circulation with a well-defined circulation above it in a wall cloud, you can call that a tornado. So that's what it sounds like we have right now. I believe Jenny Brown is there at the moment. Let's go ahead and go up into the Texas Panhandle with another supercell that is taking on interesting characteristics. This is going to be a supercell moving east, northeast, but more east at about 30 miles an hour. This storm's capable of throwing out tennis ball size hail and wind gusts over 60 miles an hour. You'll notice this storm also has a well-defined hook echo. Not really much of a defined low-level circulation, but you can still see one trying to develop at least. So given the favorable kinematic and thermodynamic environment this thunderstorm is moving into, without sounding like a complete nerd basket case, there's plenty of instability. There's a lot of low-level wind shear. There's more surface moisture in the eastern panhandle, so this storm has an increasing potential to go tornadic over the next 30 to 60 minutes as it moves east. If this storm were to move, say, due east, this would be an issue for areas near and just north of McLean. As it stands now, this might be an issue for the community of Wheeler, which is at 152 and Highway 83 north of Shamrock, well south of Canadian. So those of you from LaForge, you're probably about to get some hail. We know there's a pretty nasty burn scar around LaForge from a wildfire several months ago. So all the heavy rain there may be producing a bit of debris. Mobiti, over to Wheeler, heads up. This thunderstorm at the least could be producing destructive hail, tennis ball to baseball size, but it would not be surprising if it goes tornadic within the next hour. We've got left split supercell capable of producing quarter to ping pong ball size hail, racing north-northeast at about 50 miles an hour. It'll be in the city of Memphis. I'll put some times on here for y'all. It'll be in the city of Memphis at about 6:30, maybe a few minutes after. And then with this thunderstorm that is currently tornado warned with a confirmed tornado, at least a brief one, This is going to be well southwest of the city of Paducah. Paducah, y'all might get a wee bit of hail, but in terms of the big hail, hopefully it'll stay just to your southwest. And we'll go ahead and put a telestrator on this just to give you some distance. Again, this is going to stay well southwest of the city of Paducah. The worst of the hail's probably going to stay 5 to 6, maybe 7 miles south of Paducah. Nasty hail core about 15 miles southwest of Paducah. And then if we were, well, the tornado probably about 15 to 18 miles southwest of Paducah. We're looking probably about 70 miles away from the radar in Lubbock, so we're looking around 7,000 feet above the surface. So with that being said, there's some tilt involved with rotating thunderstorms. So what we're seeing on radar maybe a mile further to the southwest, given the tilt involved. So we don't want to get too specific in terms of specific streets, but anyway, it goes to say, if you're north of Guthrie or south of Paducah on Highway 83, you need to seek shelter. And eventually, this is going to be an issue for Highway 6 between Crowell and Benjamin. Depending on the exact east movement of this, this could eventually move towards Wichita Falls. That would still probably be several hours from now, but given the environment and some relatively well-performing short-term weather model guidance, it's entirely plausible this thunderstorm southwest of Paducah ends up in Wichita Falls in about 3 to 4 hours, and it could still be quite rowdy. Heading south along the dry line, we see additional thunderstorms now developing just near Rotan, near Ruby. Check this out. This thunderstorm just developed. It's already got well-defined supercell structure on reflectivity, nice hail core. Undoubtedly, this storm is going to result in the threat for large hail, and we'll have to keep an eye out for signs of tornadic activity. Nothing like that right now. Little updraft trying to go up west of Ballinger. We'll see if that can mature. And again, if once a storm gets going, they go real quick, given the environment. It took a while for the cap to finally break, but obviously we have reached the pinnacle point where we are well underway with supercellular storm structure. We note, I'm going to, now just for full disclosure, I actually live, and where I'm doing this broadcast, right here, south side of Oklahoma City. I'm looking up here because we have several of our chasers south of Tecumseh, Oklahoma. You see that little hook echo wrapping around there? That's getting close to producing a tornado. And switching back over to the how hard it's raining mode, looks like another supercell firing up southwest of Lindsay, Oklahoma. That's going to be moving towards Purcell, Oklahoma. So again, while we're going to focus on the severe weather in Texas, we do note there is severe weather also beginning to unfold across central Oklahoma. So we have multiple thunderstorms at this point across the eastern Texas Panhandle into west central Texas, and now extending down into the big country. In fact, multiple. We have about 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess 5, maybe, if you want to count the one that's counting east of Tulia. But the good news is, if we switch over and look at the weather radar in North Texas, the cap is held. Notice we have nothing going on right now. A little shower in southeastern Jack County. That's all. We'll switch over to a product called Echo Tops just to see how tall any sort of thunderstorm is, and we don't really see anything there. And if we wanted to get really nerdy, I can switch over to satellite data. There we go. I'm just looking to see if we have any indications of more robust thunderstorm development. And you can see these thunderstorms out in western Texas starting to explode. And this is 1-minute satellite data. It updates every minute. I'll just loop it for you without the radar data on. You can see bubbles, bubbles, bubbles galore. This is 1-minute data. So again, Supercell, northeast of Groom, northwest of McLean, coming up on the 4s, eventually Wheeler in the Texas Panhandle. Potential for destructive hail. Gonna have to watch and see if it goes tornadic. Left split supercell over the town, or just east of the town of Turkey. That thunderstorm is capable of producing quarter to ping pong ball size hail as it moves northeast at about 50 miles an hour. We have a tornadic supercell capable of producing all modes of severe weather, including destructive hail. That is going to stay south of Paducah by probably 5 to 10 miles. The possibility of a tornado about 15 miles south of town on Highway 83. This thunderstorm did produce a brief tornado about 10 to 15 minutes ago, but that tornado has dissipated. However, rotation aloft with this thunderstorm is increasing, and this thunderstorm is moving east at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. It is the right split supercell, while this storm northeast of Turkey, west of Esseline, is moving north-northeast at 50 miles an hour. Head on south into the big country, you can see developing storms that are now severe. Rotan, Ruby, these storms are not really moving much right now. Let me go ahead and we'll switch back over to the weather radar. Get a good look at this thunderstorm. I'll just loop it over the last half hour or hour. Data will load in just a moment. Or not. So let's just go ahead and load the real data. You can see Supercell Thunderstorm, capable of producing at least quarter-size hail. At the moment, this storm's moving north-northeast at about 15 miles an hour. Now, if this thunderstorm does what some of these other storms tend to do, this may eventually start moving more easterly, or at least northeasterly. And again, it's not moving very quickly, so those of you in Hamlin, once this storm makes it a little north of 92, if you were to look west, you'd likely see a well-sculpted, a visually impressive supercell thunderstorm. Might look like a wedding cake with its layers. Might look like a big bell. But we'll have to keep an eye on this thunderstorm. Big hail definitely possible. We'll see if it tries to spin up. So the reason we're here right now is we have a tornado warning for rural areas of Dickens, King, Cottle, and Motley counties. This doesn't include the county seats of any of these counties. This is going to be probably 10 to 15 miles south of Paducah. This is going to stay a good 15 miles north of Guthrie. And eventually, and honestly, I mean, eventually, once it gets east towards Highway 6, this could be an issue for Ford City and Truscott, right north of Benjamin. Again, this thunderstorm is capable of not only producing a tornado, but nasty hail. As you can see, the radar is estimating tennis ball size hail with a movement east at about 20 miles per hour. So it's not moving very quickly, but if it continues on its present course, this could be an issue for the town of Crowell, maybe down to Ford City and Truscott in about, what is it, 6:10 now? Let's say 7:30 p.m. Maybe a wee bit earlier if it moves faster, a wee bit later if it'll move a bit slower. But again, it's over mainly rural area. Well, it is over rural areas right now. Of course, if by chance there's 5 people out there and it manages to hit one of them, well, that's a pretty big deal. So that's why we're here. I don't care if you live in a city. I don't care if you live in the middle of nowhere. We're going to be here for severe weather information. And again, if you're in North Texas, we'll switch to North Texas radar. You'll notice there is not a thing going on, minus a little shower. A couple little showers, but nothing else is going on. Looks like the cap is held, and the cap is held nicely so far. So, again, if you're in North Texas, the DFW Metroplex, while the chance for a thunderstorm this evening remains very low, honestly, I'm not too worried about it right now. If we get a storm to go up, yeah, we'll have a problem, but at this point, that chance is diminishing for now. You're still going to have storms tomorrow morning as Crashy the cold front comes on down from West Texas and the Panhandle, and some of those storms are liable to be strong with damaging winds and maybe some hail. Now, back to the big country. Let's go from south to north, as again, we are dealing with multiple supercell thunderstorms. Supercell Thunderstorm on Highway 92 between Rodan and Hamlin, closer to Rodan and Highway 70. The potential for quarter to golf ball size hail. And to be honest, it might be bigger than that, but we haven't had any ground truth at this point. If this storm were to continue moving northeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour, it'd be into Aspermont at about 7:25 p.m. However, I would not be totally shocked if this storm turns a little more to the east, in which case it may make a run closer to Rural or Haskell. We've got time. This thing's not moving very quickly, fortunately, in terms of keeping folks ahead of it warned. Further north, this thunderstorm, about 10 miles south of Paducah, is getting ready to produce a second tornado. It sounds like spotters are reporting not only 2 to 2.5 inch diameter hail falling on Highway 83, but they report a funnel cloud looking back into the thunderstorm across from Highway 83. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and unfortunately, we're not getting that great of a look. We're looking from Frederick Radar, which is about 85 miles away. We're looking at 8,500 feet above the ground. Let's switch over to the Lubbock Radar. That's about 1,500 feet lower. And again, we're not going to get a super great look with the velocity data, but, well, we've got spotters and chasers there visually telling us this thing's about to put another tornado down. So, given the atmospheric ingredients, that's not a surprise. Let's go back up into the Texas Panhandle. You can see left split supercell. This is going to be the supercell coming towards Memphis and Lakeview. Not looking as impressive as it was earlier. It's really weakened, but you can see additional thunderstorms are now starting to form northwest of Turkey, south of Clarendon, northwest of Clarendon up Highway 70, Highway 70, up Highway 287, and then we've got a supercell thunderstorm north of Interstate 40 near LaFours with the heaviest rain and hail south of LaFours, and an area of rotation about probably 3 to 4 miles north of Interstate 40. And you can see, looking at the which way the wind's blowing mode, there is some broad rotation. However, this isn't your typical tight rotation. Greens, winds moving towards the radar, winds in red moving away, and the radar's in Amarillo. Let me show you where that is. See how that's ahead of the precipitation? So that's not your classic area of rotation, but again, this is a supercell thunderstorm. We'll be watching for indications of rotation in the low levels, in addition to the threat for some hail, damaging winds, etc. Excuse me. So again, you can keep an eye on the sky with the Texas Storm Chasers Interactive Weather Radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar. Also, download the free Texas Storm Chasers mobile app. Keep an eye on the storms with that. And we've also got multiple storm chasers chasing today with live storm chasing video available. You can watch that directly on our YouTube page. I think we have 3 or 4 streams going right now. Or you can also watch those on our website. Let me adjust some monitors here. Try not to break the glass desk with the water bottle. Go ahead and we'll zoom back out and take a look at the state view. Load some satellite data. We'll load the satellite loop, and you can see these thunderstorms exploding over the last several hours. Especially zooming on into the Panhandle, West Texas, the big country. And we do need to go take a look at the Edwards, or excuse me, yeah, the Edwards Plateau, yeah. For stormies in northern Mexico that may try to push east of the river. Let's go ahead and do that. You can see those storms. Switch over to the high-resolution radar. This thunderstorm that is currently from Del Rio, this storm's about 25 miles west. This storm itself appears to be moving east at about 25 miles an hour. So if these storms don't turn a little further southeast, a severe thunderstorm capable of producing very large hail, flooding rainfall, and damaging winds will be approaching Del Rio in about 45 minutes. And again, we'll see if those storms continue to track closer to the border or manage to stay on the Mexico side. But again, those are severe. So at this point, first watch at storms. So we load radar data. You can see this thunderstorm north of Ruby moving northeast towards generally rural, probably staying southeast now. I was going to say staying southeast of Vermont, but it still has a more northerly trajectory. So if that keeps up, Vermont might get in on some hail. But otherwise, we'll be watching to wait and see if this storm turns a bit right and starts moving more northeast. If the storm starts moving northeast, we may see the threat for higher end severe weather, larger hail, maybe even a tornado increase. As I look around me, I've got 8 monitors around me. Oh, excuse me, to maintain situational awareness, so that is what I'm doing. So as we switch back to the Lubbock radar, you'll see we'll get the data to load on this eventually. I'll drink some coffee. You can see this thunderstorm moving east-northeast about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Present track, if it continues moving almost due east, it's going to stay just south of Crow. If it moves a little north of due east, it's going to visit Crow with large hail. And again, given the fact this might be a long track supercell, those of you from Vernon, Electra, Holiday to Wichita Falls. Yeah, I mean, we're still talking probably 2 or 3 hours before this gets over there. But heads up, it's probably still going to be around. And it's still probably going to be producing big time hail and possibly tornadoes. So we only have one tornado warning in the state of Texas at the moment. We note a tornado warning for portions of Potawatomi and Seminole counties southeast of Oklahoma City. We'll take a look at that real quick, just for fun. See well-defined supercell just north of St. Louis, Oklahoma, east of Macomb. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and you can see that thing's starting to get a couplet tighter than a tick's behind. So that, in all likelihood, is preparing to produce a tornado. We also note another supercell developing southwest of Interstate 35 near Lindsay, Oklahoma. That'll be moving east-northeast at about, let's see, the Weather Service has that moving at about 30. That'll be crossing Interstate 35 between Wayne and probably closer to Purcell, south of Goldsby, Oklahoma. And then we head back into the Texas Panhandle. We've got multiple severe storms now beginning to erupt east of the dry line. You can see a storm northwest of McLean. We'll put a distance tracker on that. About 10-15 miles northwest of McLean. That's moving northeast at 25 miles an hour. You can see we've got a new thunderstorm that's developed about 15 miles northwest of Clarendon, about 16 miles southeast of Claude, 13 miles due west of Howardwick. I've seen a tornado in Howardwick before. Actually, I think I've seen two. And then this will be about 12 miles south of Interstate 40 at Groom. This storm's also moving northeast at about 25 miles an hour with an increasing threat for quarter to maybe ping-pong ball size hail. Severe thunderstorm warning. This is going to be well northeast of Silverton by a good 25 miles. Head over to Turkey. This is a good 18 to 20 miles north of Turkey. And if you wanted to go on Highway 256, that's about 22 miles west of Memphis and 287. This storm is moving more quickly towards Headley at about 40 miles an hour, at least according to this tracker. And if it continues moving at 40, that'll be in Headley at about 7:11 p.m. We note for our Oklahoma friends, a large tornado is now down near Maud, Oklahoma with the supercell southeast of Oklahoma City. That's just southeast of Tecumseh. Should hopefully stay a bit southwest of Seminole and Highway 9, but again, large tornado down near Maud, Oklahoma, southwest of Seminole, southeast of Tecumseh. That storm should hopefully stay south of the city of Seminole in Oklahoma. Continuing on our present trek south, we'll go ahead and jump on down to the Frederick Radar, get a look at our stormy south of Paducah. Show you something here on the reflectivity. This is called a three-body scatter spike, where the radar beam is detecting so much hail and ice that's actually kind of tricking the radar software algorithm and making it think there's some precipitation beyond the storm. So that's why you sometimes get those lines when looking through hail cores. That's called a three-body scatter spike. That's just indicative of a copious amount of hail stones being lofted with the thunderstorm. So again, we'll switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. Unfortunately, we're at a distance and we're at such a angle from the radar that we're just not getting a great look at the velocity. But again, we've got storm spotters in the area. And I believe our own Jenny Brown, who's not in contact with us right now, unfortunately, is also in the area. And this storm's produced at least one brief tornado over the last 30 minutes. Moving east, northeast more east at about 20 miles an hour. Locations in this warning include Finney, Gloro, Delwyn, Chalk, and Hackberry, all small communities in this area. This tornado warning does not include the city of Paducah, does not include the city of Guthrie, does not include Benjamin, Trescott, Ford City, or Crowell at this time. Crowell, Ford City, Trescott, and Benjamin are all on Highway 6. Eventually, folks in Crowell, Ford City, Trescott, I'm pretty confident you will be under a tornado warning because, to be frank, this storm's not going anywhere. So this storm moving east at about 20 miles an hour. Let's just go ahead and, frankly, put a cell track on this. I'm just trying to see if I can define a time. I'm just going to put a relatively large storm track on this. I'm going to put 25 miles an hour. Again, near the city of Crowell at about 7:20. And now I'm going to take a very quick voice intermission. I'll be back in probably 60 seconds. All right, my apologies. I've returned. Okay, so what we have going on at the moment is a supercell with large hail coming up on Highway 256 and Highway 70. 70 goes south out of Clarendon. 256 goes west out of Memphis, about 20 miles west of Memphis. Well, eyeballing it, probably nearly the same distance south out of Clarendon. That storm's going to be moving northeast at about 40 miles an hour. So those of you in Headley, you've got about, let's say 25 to 30 minutes. Let's say 25 for safekeeping. So let's say probably going to be closer to maybe 6:50 or 7, potential for large hail. It would appear I've got a rather angry thunderstorm trying to visit me now. That's not ideal when other thunderstorms in my general vicinity are now dropping tornadoes. So let's go ahead and keep going south. We've got a tornado warning for a thunderstorm with a possible tornado crossing over Highway 83 about 10 to 15 miles south of the town of Paducah. This is also well north of Guthrie, Texas. This storm's going to be moving east, generally towards Crowell. It may pass a little south of Crowell towards Ford City and Trescott, but it may not. Either way, a lot of hail and the potential for a tornado. Those of you from Vernon to Seymour, up to Holiday, Wichita Falls, Electra, over to Henrietta, this is still 2 to 3 hours away from y'all, but be warned, I don't think this storm's going away. So y'all are probably going to have some severe weather in your area in a couple of hours. I don't want to hear the old saying, you had no warning. I just gave you a 2 to 3 hour warning. Trust me, if you can't do something with that, I'm sorry, but you got warning. We've got a thunderstorm northeast of Rotan, west of Hamlin. And this thunderstorm is generally still moving northeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. Well, the Weather Service has it moving at 40, but I don't know if it's moving that quickly. Let's see. They have it at 30, so I guess that can be a compromise. But again, moving at 30, it would stay south of Aspermont, crossing over 83 between Hamlin and Aspermont with large damaging hail. Assuming it turns right a little, which is what organizing storms do, this could be a threat to rural in an hour or so. Looking further southwest, we have a couple of storms firing up on Interstate 20 now, from Colorado City north on 208 up to Snyder, and then over to Rotan. So again, we'll keep an eye on all these storms. Definitely the potential they could try to form hail cores and produce maybe some hail and localized damaging wind gusts. No indications they're trying to do spinny mischief right now. Now, given the fact we have problems, let's talk about Oklahoma real quick. This is going to be a confirmed large tornado southwest of Seminole, Oklahoma. That little pendant you see there, that is a debris ball for all intents and purposes. Switch over to the debris tracker. You can see blue. That's just the radar detecting pieces of tree limbs, could be structures. It's not a hailstone, hydrometeor, raindrop, etc. So that is generally moving over towards Bowlegs, Oklahoma. It's going to be dangerously close to the city of Seminole. Back further west, if I could be kind enough to learn how to use my little magical telestrator here and zoom out, we'll go over to Interstate 35. This thunderstorm southwest of the city of Purcell, this is probably going to try its best to go tornadic as well as it approaches Interstate 35. So if you know anyone who might be traveling on 35 in central Oklahoma this evening, give them a heads up. Don't go south of Goldsby. Don't go north of Wayne or Maysville, Paoli. Say mile marker 86 going north, mile marker 100 going south on Interstate 35. The potential for a thunderstorm to go tornadic. And we note additional thunderstorms in the southern Oklahoma City metro are attempting to also organize in an environment supportive of tornadic supercells. So we'll keep an eye on that just out of necessity. And again, this thunderstorm crossing over 83 now. You can see the rotation. Even if we're looking from a very long ways away, we're looking at 8,500 feet above the ground. We've got circulation, storm that has a history of producing 1 or 2 tornadoes in addition to large hail. This will be east of 83 by 6:45. So that's the good news. And then we'll have to keep an eye out for Highway 6 around Crowell down to Ford City, Trescott, and it should stay north of Benjamin. And eventually we'll have to see just if this moves due east. Frankly, on its present course, this may make a run at Clay County, and eventually may make a run at places like Electra and Wichita Falls around 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Just taking a look at some data off screen. All right, we've got a report of a tornado down at Highway 83 and FM 1168. So again, we're looking 8,500 feet above the surface here. This is a situation where the radar beam does not stay with the Earth's surface. When you say, with this case, the radar site in Lubbock, radar beam goes straight out. So as the radar beam gets further away from the radar site, it gets further off the ground. The Earth curves, the radar beam does not. So we're looking about 8,500 feet above the surface. Had a report of a tornado at FM 1168 and Highway 83, which I assume is in this general area. I'll try to put some labels on here, but it's not really working. So again, this thunderstorm, not surprisingly, continues to attempt to be tornadic in nature. And real quick, I'm going to actually check on a few things here. We actually have a couple chasers in central Oklahoma. And I am curious because I think one of them may be about to stream a tornado near Purcell, Oklahoma. I know, not Texas, but I'm just keeping an eye on it. So real quick, let me head over. Let's press this button. It's my head. That live shot in the top right corner is from Tornado Intercept Stephen Jones. And he is near Purcell, Oklahoma, where a thunderstorm with organizing low-level rotation is approaching Interstate 35. So we're going to keep an eye on that, and I guess I'll quickly show you what I'm talking about real quick. And I realize not Texas, but I'll still show you. He's on this thunderstorm near Purcell, Oklahoma, that's moving towards the interstate. You can see an inflow band on the right side of his screen, wall cloud under that with fairly strong motion. Yeah, we know this storm approaching Seminole, Oklahoma actually has multiple tornadoes down doing significant damage. So that just goes to show what the storms in Oklahoma are doing. The storms in Texas could do the same thing. So let's go down to the Edwards Plateau and west of Del Rio. Sounds like our storms on the Mexico side of the border are getting closer to Del Rio. This thunderstorm is now knocking on the border's door, but it's not moving very quickly. However, it does look like this storm could be approaching the city of Del Rio in the next 30 to 45 minutes. The storm's moving east at about 30 miles an hour, so I'll put a manual track on it real quick. Assuming this is the relative area, this would be in Del Rio, again, at about 25, 30 to 45 minutes. And we continue to monitor storms further north as well. Speaking of which, it looks like we've got a new storm going up southeast of Fort Stockton. This storm's going to be on 285. Let me put a... This is going to be 30 miles southeast of Fort Stockton on 285. That's probably got some hail. Should be moving northeast slowly. Just looking at some data. So as we continue north into the big country, excuse me, switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. We're starting to see some modest rotation with this thunderstorm that is about 9 to 10 miles northeast of Rotan, about 12 miles west of Hamlin. Now, it's not as classic as the storm that's producing tornadoes in Oklahoma right now, or our tornado-producing storm south of Paducah, but you can see we're starting to see some storm structure here that's indicative of an organized supercell. You've got your precipitation, hail core up here, almost a flying eagle look. You've got your rear flank downdraft here and a little bounded weak echo region. That's what that's called, where you have the mesocyclone or pushing the rain out of the area, rotating it around, and that's your bounded weak echo region. So this thunderstorm is becoming more organized, and as it moves northeast at about 30 miles an hour, it's possible this may attempt to acquire more significant low-level rotation. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a weather radio. One moment, please. So for those of you who didn't know, I live on the south side of Oklahoma City. It's issued a tornado warning for a thunderstorm about 20 miles to my south. It'll turn off in a second. You can see the live video from Stephen Jones at Tornado Intercept, by the way. That's the storm they just tornado warned. So again, I'll show you real quick. It's going to be a tornado warning. There you go. I-35 between mile markers 85, 95. So Purcell, Oklahoma, Wayne, Oklahoma, southern Cleveland County, Lexington. That's a tornado warning for that. To be honest, got a storm just southwest of the house that's trying to organize. Hey, Brandy. Just a heads up, we have a storm down in Newcastle kind of meandering this way that's starting to take on a rather suspicious appearance. Nothing near term, but don't be surprised if you see some spinning. That's fine. Okay. So, that's Stephen down in Purcell. So my apologies for folks in Texas. I actually live on the south side of Oklahoma City now. You see just where the I-35 is south of Moore? I'm pretty much living there, so maintaining a little bit of situational awareness just in case Mother Nature decides to be a troll. So, let's go back to the weather radar. Go into the Panhandle of Texas. Get the data to load. You can see a pretty nice looking supercell. Southwest of Headley, moving northeast towards Headley. Let me close this door real quick. I have a wall cloud outside the window. That's a slight problem. My apologies. I'm kind of doing the whole live coverage thing while it's kind of storm chasing as a rotating supercell approaches my location where I live. So, Haven't gotten to do that recently. It's going to be a supercell, nasty hail core coming up about 10 miles southwest of Headley. This is going to be moving northeast to 287. Should stay just east of Clarendon, but again, you're not going to want to be on 287 between Clarendon and Memphis. Headley, y'all are about to get some nasty hail, it looks like. Let me see if the radar is throwing out any hail algorithms. Not seeing any on this product. Give me just a second. Nasty cloud to ground lightning strike outside the window. Probably could have golf ball sized hail with this thunderstorm. So, for those of you by chance care, large tornado coming into Seminole, Oklahoma right now. We've got a possible tornado west of Interstate 35, southwest of Purcell. So, a couple notes here. As you may have just heard or seen, we're now getting a lightning barrage at my location from a supercell approaching from the southwest. It's entirely possible I may lose you all here for a bit if we take a direct hit from lightning, lose power. Did you die? Yeah. I'll be honest with you. This thing's probably going to do something rather unfortunate sooner than later, so... It's always fun when you're having a rather unpleasant storm approach your location, so my apologies. I'm maintaining situational awareness. Okay, severe storm southwest of Wheeler, moving northeast, could have some quarter-size hail. This storm coming up towards Headley. The potential for golf ball-size hail or larger, incoming cloud-to-ground lightning. So again, this is not a good place for me right now. But again, if I lose y'all, just understand I'm starting to get a lightning barrage from a supercell developing just southwest of my location. I'm located just north of Norman, Oklahoma, south side of Moore, Oklahoma. This thunderstorm moving northeast towards Headley should be in town in about 15 minutes. We've got a tornado down right now near Guthrie, south northeast of Guthrie. Let me go ahead and switch back. Multiple visuals of this tornado by storm spotters, along with our own Jenny Brown. She's a photographer. She doesn't do the live streaming thing, but she's there. This is a confirmed tornado now. This should be east of Highway 83. Rather large, dusty tornado. And again, this is going to be a situation where this thunderstorm is probably going to keep producing tornadoes off and on for a while. There, I'm unmuted. My apologies. I'm muted again. I've got a supercell coming up to my southwest that keeps taking out the power grid. Supercell near Headley, coming up towards Headley, the potential for quarter to golf ball size hail. We are starting to notice a wee bit of rotation on this thunderstorm, so we'll have to keep an eye on it as it moves off to the northeast towards Shamrock. Thunderstorm over Mobetti, Highway 152 moving towards Wheeler, looks more like a wind and hailer versus a tornado issue. That storm's moving east-northeast at about 30 miles an hour. We've got a thunderstorm that's been producing tornadoes off and on for the last hour now. This storm is going to be moving generally towards the city of Crowell. You can see a very well-defined hook echo. We've got strong gate-to-gate velocities, and as of 10 minutes ago, that thing had a pretty stout tornado down with it. This is moving east at about 25 to 30 miles an hour, and again, this could pose a direct threat to Clay County, Electra, Holiday, Wichita Falls. 2 to 3 hours. This thing's going to probably be on your doorstep, and it's probably still going to be around. Okay, down into the big country. These thunderstorms. We've got a little line segment now. Hailers. Potential for hail over the size of a golf ball from south of Aspermont down to Rotan. We note that little inflow notch just southwest of Rotan. Heading southwest to east of Snyder by 5 to 8 miles, then south to near Interstate 20 near Loran. We'll look for any signs of rotation. Yeah, that little notch west of Rotan has some rotation, so that may attempt to spin something up. It's not this second. New tornado warning that does not include the city of Crowell at this point, but we'll keep an eye on it. This storm's got a tornado down with it right now, capable of producing damaging hail. We'll go up into the central Oklahoma region. Looks like we... I mean, folks, I'll be honest, that is not good. There's a confirmed tornado, looks like, very near the city of Seminole, Oklahoma. That's going to be moving up towards Okemah, Oklahoma. Interstate 40, Cromwell and Okemah. No travel on Interstate 40 between Henrietta, Oklahoma on the east and Shawnee on the west. You don't want any part of that. Could be a longer track, significant tornado. We had a tornado warning for I-35 around Purcell. Looks like they've canceled that tornado warning. And that rotation's weakened. And we've got a couple of storms here in South Oklahoma City Metro where I happen to be located. And that's why you lost me for several minutes, because the lightning decided it wanted to take my power away. I'm going to be spending probably $500 on universal power supplies tomorrow. I'm very sad. So again... this thing's got a tornado down east of Highway 83. This will be coming up to Highway 6. Ford City and Trescott. It's less organized than it was, I think. So, to be honest, you could probably just look outside and find out. So I'm doing now, I'm getting all my stuff back up since I took a power hit. I should still be live on everything. And I'm sure once I get everything back up, I'll take another power hit just for goodness sake. So it's going to be a tornado warning that does include Ford City and Trescott. This does not include the city of Crowell or the town of Benjamin. This is going to be on Highway 6. Storm moving east at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. What I'm doing now is making sure all my chats are back open. So again, this storm, southeast of Paducah, southwest of Crowell, west of Ford City, about 15 miles west of Trescott, does have a tornado down with it. And I'll switch over to live video. This is live video, not from the storm in Texas. This is from Purcell, Oklahoma. That storm that's less organized at the moment, but we're still watching it. Got a pretty upset puppy here. Don't like thunderstorms. It sounds like we've got tornado damage in Seminole, Oklahoma. So back to the live coverage. Very well-defined supercell, capable of producing a Long track tornado. This storm is currently 13 to 14 miles west of Trescott, moving east at about 25 miles an hour. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing. I know it doesn't show up great on there, but it has a very strong mid-level mesocyclone. Spotters report tornado in progress. So this thing might be down for a while. So those of you on Highway 6 from Trescott, Ford City, south of Corral, north of Benjamin, tornado continues. Let's go up to the Supercell, crossing over Highway 287, a wee bit northwest of Memphis, near Headley. This thing itself is starting to develop an area of circulation northwest of Memphis. And this may require a tornado warning soon. So again, this will stay northwest of the town of Memphis, but those of you in Wellington, up to, let's just say, Eric, Oklahoma, heads up. Starting to get a new mesocyclone aloft in an area of rotation northwest of Memphis. That's from the Amarillo radar. Let's look from the Frederick radar just to get a different perspective. And you can see, yeah, this thing's got a screaming mesocyclone. Nice little hook echo in the mid-level, so I would not be shocked if we end up with some sort of a tornado problem with this thunderstorm in the next 30 minutes as it moves northeast towards Quail and Wellington. No tornado warning right now, but there probably is going to have to be one if it continues to organize. That's interesting. We have thunderstorms rapidly developing in the DFW Metroplex. Okay, about 20 minutes ago I said it didn't look like the cap was going to break. Well, folks, guess what? The cap just broke. In the Metroplex. These storms that are developing aren't severe at the moment, but we're going to have to keep a close eye on them to see if they intensify. At this point, should be moving northeast at probably 35 miles per hour. So we're going to keep a very close eye on those storms developing in the Metroplex now. If you're in Arlington, Grand Prairie, Mansfield, you probably hear thunder at this point. Heavy rain. Report of a tornado down with the thunderstorm west of Trescott. So again, over rural areas, but about 14 miles west of Trescott and Highway 6, this storm continues to produce what could be a long-track tornado. Well-defined hook echo. We don't see any indications of a debris signature, but to be frank, I don't think we would because we're looking 6,000 feet above the ground, and there really isn't all that much to hit out there, generally speaking. At least that would be lofted 6,000 feet. So this could stay down for a while. Those of you in Trescott, those of you in Ford City, south of Corral, you need to take your tornado safety precautions. Lowest floor, center room, away from windows, no mobile homes, no trailers, no vehicles. If you live in a mobile home or a trailer or a poor site-built structure and you're in Ford City or Trescott, honestly, you're just better off getting in your car and driving away at this point. This thing's moving slow enough to where you should be able to use your best judgment not to be directly impacted by the tornado. Take a look at this thunderstorm that's northwest of Memphis over Headley. You can see hail core over Headley, new updraft with a strong mid-level mesocyclone northwest of Memphis. That could become a problem. Thunderstorm coming up on the city of Wheeler. Starting to see a bit of mid-level rotation, but again, we're looking well above the surface at about 6,500 feet. So again, as these storms continue moving east towards western Oklahoma or northwest Texas, we continue to see indications of further organization and continued development. Which is not surprising given the strong wind shear and combination of instability and moisture. And also, we've got a storm or a shower that's developed in the southern DFW metroplex that we'll keep an eye on. At least some folks are getting a quick downpour. We're not seeing any indications of anything more mischievous at this point, but we'll keep an eye on it just in case something tries to fire up. But so far, just showers, nothing that screams hail or damaging winds or anything that's remotely close to being a spinny doom, also known as a tornado. So with that being said, very dangerous thunderstorm. This thing's got what's probably a long track tornado down, and this is going to be about 13 miles west of Trescott and Highway 6, and about 15 to 16 miles west-southwest of Ford City, moving east at 20 to 25 miles an hour. So again, it's over the middle of nowhere pretty much right now. That being said, if there's one person out there and they end up getting hit by this thing, we're going to have big problems. As you can also tell by the radar's hail algorithm, it thinks there's softball-sized hail, which is probably a good bet. So again, this is probably going to be one of these long-track supercells that we're still going to be dealing with 3 or 4 hours from now as it approaches Wichita Falls. So those of you Electra, Wichita Falls, Holiday, I'll just put a distance marker on it. It's moving towards y'all. On. We're talking about 80 miles. So assume it's moving at 25 miles an hour. Sometimes it's a little faster, sometimes it's slower. We're probably still 2.5 to 4 hours away. It very well could still be going. And then we continue to monitor this thunderstorm that is northwest of the city of Memphis, near Headley. Honestly, let's loop this. I think what we just witnessed was literally one storm dying and a new updraft forming, or the new updraft literally just ate the old storm. Yeah, look at that. This thing took a hard right. You see that? Got your storm southwest of Headley. That updraft dies, new one forms, or it just turns hard east. Either way, this thing's going to be a problem. Continue to receive reports of a tornado down with the thunderstorm southeast of Paducah, west of Trescott, Texas. We'll switch back over to the higher resolution radar with this thunderstorm north of Memphis. We'll see if there's any hail indications. A wee bit of a hail indicator, maybe some quarter to golf ball size. Switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode. And even though we're looking in the mid-levels, mind you, we're looking at about 6,000 feet. This thing's starting to spin. A lot. So this is likely going to be our next candidate for a potential tornado warning in the next 30 minutes. Those of you in Wellington need to pay attention as this thunderstorm heads your way from the west. This thing's got a very strong mid-level mesocyclone and is heading right towards the town of Wellington, Texas. In addition, this thunderstorm is in an environment that's not only supportive of significant severe weather, giant hail up to the size of softballs and tornadoes, but the kinematic and thermodynamic combination, or juxtaposure, a fancy way of saying instability, wind shear, moisture, is supportive of a longer track, possibly strong tornado. So if we get one of those, we're going to have problems, especially as it moves towards a populated town. So with that being said, I'm going to take a very quick breather. Stream's not going anywhere. I'm just not going to be talking for about 2 minutes. So I'll be right back, and then we will continue our severe weather coverage. All right, I am back. I'm actually not even sure if I'm streaming. It says I am. That's good. Let's turn the other various buttons back on. Yeah, we got a new tornado warning. Very good. It's 7:15 p.m. on the 4th of May, 2022. Good evening. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David-Reimer. We've got a new tornado warning now for a organizing supercell just north of the city of Memphis in the southeastern Texas Panhandle. This thunderstorm is going to be moving towards the city of Wellington. This thunderstorm is showing very strong rotation aloft and is in an environment that does support the possibility of a longer-lived tornado. So, with that being said, those of you in Quail, Wellington, east and northeast of Memphis, southeast of Headley, you need to take your tornado safety precautions. That's going to be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. We don't want you in manufactured housing. We don't want you in a vehicle. If you can find a highway overpass out there that's not crossing a river, I'd be impressed. But we don't want you under one of those either. So again, that is what we have going on in the southeastern Texas Panhandle now. A tornado warning for a developing tornado in southeastern Donley and southern Collinsworth counties, southeastern Texas Panhandle. A severe storm capable of producing a tornado about 4 miles northeast of the city of Memphis, moving east at 40. And this thunderstorm is going to be very near the city of Wellington within the next 20 to 25 minutes, crossing over highways 203 and 83. In addition, this thunderstorm is capable of producing at least golf ball size hail. Let's go on south into northwest Texas, where we've had a fairly long-lived tornado over a rural area southwest of Crowell. This is going to be with a supercell coming towards Ford City and Trescott on Highway 6. You can see the well-defined hook echo there. We'll switch over to the which way the wind's blowing mode, and while the data's a bit wonky, you can definitely tell rotation remains. It might not be as strong as it was a few minutes ago, but it nevertheless is capable of still producing tornadoes. And this storm is moving towards Trescott and Ford City on Highway 6. It will remain south of Crowell, at least the tornado will. The hail may impact Crowell, and this storm could be producing baseball-sized hail. This will remain well north of Benjamin and Highway 82 and 277 for now. We note if this storm continues on its due easterly course, it is going to be taking a beeline towards Wichita Falls, Holiday, maybe even Electra if it curves north. So those of you in Wichita Falls, you've got maybe 2 to 2.5, 3 hours, and this thing's going to be on your doorstep, and it's probably still going to be around. May not be producing a tornado, but it's probably still going to be producing severe weather. So heads up. We've got a tornado down 10 miles northwest of Trescott with this thunderstorm. So again, this storm continues to produce a tornado. Now about 10 miles northwest of Trescott, moving east at about 20 to 30 miles per hour. Let's go south into the big country. We've got some hailers. Aspermont, hailer just southeast of town. You could still begin some hail in town, but little area of mid-level circulation that could be allowing some wind gusts over 60 miles an hour to throw the hail around, unfortunately, down at the surface. From Rotan, west of Hamlin, you can see we've got a thunderstorm capable of producing quarter to golf ball size hail. Both these storms are generally moving slowly, under 25 miles an hour to the northeast. Heading further southwest, you can see we have another thunderstorm. This thunderstorm is going to be on Highway 84 between Snyder and Roscoe, north of Lorain, northwest of Sweetwater. That could have some small hail. And we're starting to see some isolated thunderstorms develop from west of Coleman on 67 down into southwestern North Texas. And these thunderstorms in North Texas, specifically the DFW Metroplex apparently are starting to become a little more organized in terms of just having lightning. So again, these aren't severe right now, but they're popping up. And they're in an environment that is somewhat supportive of severe weather if they can become established. So we're going to have to maintain a close eye on them. So heavy rain, Kennedale, Pantego, Dalworthington Gardens up to Arlington, Interstate 30 east down 30, or Spur 303 over to Cockrell Hill, Grand Prairie, Southwest Dallas to downtown Dallas. These storms are generally moving north at about 35 miles an hour. For the most part, they're not even storms, just some heavy rain. We're going to keep a close eye on them just in case they try to get rowdy, but for now, they are doing no such thing. Okay, let's go back into the Edwards Plateau. Looks like our storm from northern Mexico is now moving into Del Rio. We've got hail up to the size of golf balls and wind gust over 60 miles an hour along with very heavy rain. In fact, you can see those very strong outflow winds from this thunderstorm. The weather radar east of Bracketville is estimating winds over 70 to 80 miles an hour. Southeast sides of Del Rio crossing over Highway 277. As usual with the Del Rio Rider, we have nicknames for these storms. That's how common this is. Is it probably going to be moving towards Bracketville? Maybe a bit north of Spofford unless it turns right. But again, could have winds over 70 miles an hour, golf ball size hail, very heavy rain. That's going to cause street flooding right now in Del Rio. Moving down Highway 90 towards Bracketville, maybe even Spofford. We'll keep an eye on that. We've got severe thunderstorm. Going to be southeast of Fort Stockton, southwest of Iran. Hail, rural area, not even going to worry about it. Back up to the tornado warnings. We've got two. We've got one moving towards the city of Wellington. This is a storm with strong rotation and an ever-increasing hail core. That's a pretty gnarly-looking signature. That's about 8,000 feet there. Let's see if we can do better from the Amarillo radar. Yeah, about 1,000 feet lower. That'll give us a wee bit better of a look. You can see very, very strong rotation with this thunderstorm. Hail continues to increase. We could be talking golf balls to baseball size hail in the city of Wellington soon, next 15 minutes, in addition to the potential for a tornado. Switch on storm tracking mode. This thing's generally moving east, northeast, but more east than I think this is indicating at about 30 to 35 miles an hour. Wellington. Quail, y'all need to be in a safe place. Quail on Highway 203, about halfway between Headley and Wellington. Y'all could have golf ball to baseball size hail right now. This thing's also continuing to wrap up with a strong circulation. A tornado could occur at any time. Going down to this storm near Crowell. We've got a thunderstorm with a history of producing multiple tornadoes moving towards Ford City and Trescott. Those of you on Highway 6, don't go south of Crowell or north of Benjamin right now, as a dangerous storm with a high likelihood of a tornado in addition to baseball-sized hail is moving east at about 20 to 30 miles per hour. And then we've just got hailers with very heavy rainfall from Aspermont down to Ruby. Potential for hail larger than the size of golf balls, up to tennis balls coming into Aspermont. Could be wind-driven with winds over 60 miles an hour. Second chord southwest towards Rotan. Highway 92 west of Hamlin. And these storms aren't moving very quickly. At least down here in the big country, these storms are all but sitting. They're moving at like 10, 15 miles an hour to the northeast. So someone's going to get a lot of rain. Further north, where we have some stronger upper-level jet stream winds, storms moving closer 20 to 30 miles an hour. This storm near Wellington, I believe, is moving closer to 35 miles per hour. And we'll check that in the latest warning text. Moving east at 40. At 7:23 p.m., a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 6 miles south of Quail or 9 miles northeast of Memphis, moving east at 40 miles per hour. A storm's capable of producing a tornado and at least golf ball size hail. You can see the hail core is looking mighty impressive. Still have strong mid-level rotation as well. We'll go into central Oklahoma real quick just to check on things. Severe storms along I-35 from near Purcell up to Noble, Oklahoma on Highway 77. Up on Highway 9 to Pink, Lake Thunderbird, east side of Norman over to Shawnee. No indications of a tornado with that storm. Thunderstorm now northeast of Seminole. Seminole's taken a hit from a tornado. This thunderstorm's now approaching Cromwell. And a very strong circulation with this storm. It'll be crossing over Interstate 40, very near Okemah, Oklahoma. The potential for a strong tornado with that supercell. Now let's go down into DFW and see what we have. Obviously, we've got a few thunderstorms that have broken through the cap. But are they doing anything of consequence besides a wee bit of rain? And at this point, it doesn't appear so. Looking at some other screens, maybe some pea-sized hail with the storm near Irving. And they're moving north at about 35 miles an hour and aren't really doing anything else right now. But we'll keep an eye on them as they move towards Denton and Collin counties, just in case they try to uptick in intensity, since if they were to actually break through the cap and remain organized, there's actually a good deal of instability and wind shear that would support organization. So how about this? I'm going to clear off everything on this screen. Let me turn off all the data. Let's take a look at the high-resolution rapid refresh model for this evening and tonight, and let's see if we can't get a good idea of what timing aspects and all that, where and when storms are going to be. So I set up the appropriate settings for that. What I'm going to do is load the latest high-resolution rapid refresh model. Let me load it for 7 p.m. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to see how the model's doing. Now, a couple things. It's got the storms in northwest Texas. It thinks there's a supercell over Jack County, which there is not. So that's not a great depiction. And then storms around the Edwards Plateau, southern Concho Valley, I guess. Okay, so let's just fast forward to 10 p.m. This model has isolated severe storms still ongoing in the Edwards Plateau, the Concho Valley. It has a mess across Oklahoma. It doesn't really have much going on in North Texas. Let's see at 9 p.m. Yeah, so that's generally what model's been showing for a while. Later this evening, we're going to see one heck of a mess ongoing across Oklahoma. Severe weather, widespread, damaging winds, large hail, even a few tornadoes. Isolated severe storms in Texas continuing. The eastern Texas Panhandle, northwest Texas. Could still have a couple of thunderstorms that are quite severe in the Concho Valley down the Edwards Plateau. You can see this model is trying to bring additional severe storms in from northern Mexico into the Del Rio area. Whether or not this is going to happen or not, well, we'll just have to watch and wait and see. Fast forward to 1 a.m., you can see it that another Del Rio rider ran down Highway 90 from Del Rio to Bracketville, Spofford to Uvalde. Isolated showers and a thunderstorm perhaps across central Texas. Still thunderstorms across Oklahoma. Fast forward to 3 a.m., still storms in Oklahoma. Some thunderstorms actually moving into south central Texas. A little cluster of thunderstorms on this specific model run. Fast forward to 5 a.m. Thursday, a cold front starts moving south into Texas, and we start seeing a line of thunderstorms develop. This will bring a threat for severe storms on Thursday as that line of storms moves southeast. Let's fast forward to 7 a.m. Thursday. You can see storms starting to spread south of the Red River. Little storms near Abilene. Fast forward to 9 a.m. You can see kind of a broken line of storms. Frankly, they don't look that impressive on this specific model run. Little baby storm out by itself in Collin County. Always have to watch the little baby storms. And finally, we'll just head out to 11 a.m. You can see we've got scattered thunderstorms along the cold front from near Bonham and Paris, southwest through the DFW Metroplex, down to Goldway to Junction, and perhaps a few isolated storms ahead of the squall line, which we would have to keep an eye on closely just in case there's some spinny mischief. So that line of storms tomorrow, likely some of the storms are going to be severe with damaging winds and hail. The threat for a tornado will be lower than today, but still not zero. And that'll be continue tomorrow as that cold front and line of storms moves southeast. All right, tornado warning continues until 8 p.m. Southwest of Crow for Ford and Knox counties, specifically for a circulation moving towards Ford City and Trescott. This may stay a little north of Trescott, but I'm not going to make that call completely. Strong storms. Well, first, actually, let me go up here. Thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado moving towards Wellington. Strong mid-level rotation. Moving east at about 40 miles an hour. This storm's going to be near Wellington in about 10 minutes or less. So it's currently 7:31 p.m. Y'all in Wellington need to begin in your safe places. Y'all might begin some big-time hail before the actual area of circulation arrives from the southwest, and that could be a tornado. Get the timestamp back on the radar. You can see other isolated thunderstorms in the eastern Texas Panhandle moving into western Oklahoma. Based on the weather model guidance we just looked at, and the fact the dry line is still back over I-27, we're probably going to see a few more storms develop in the eastern Texas Panhandle over the next couple of hours. Those are probably also going to be severe. Heading down into the big country, Aspermont down to Rotan. We've still got a large thunderstorm, a small cluster, damaging straight line winds, the potential for golf ball size hail, maybe a wee bit bigger. We've got a storm northwest of, or essentially coming on into Coleman right now, trying to develop. That could have some nickel size hail. And it looks like the thunderstorm over the mid-cities moving up towards DFW Airport is starting to intensify a little bit. This thunderstorm has the potential to produce maybe some pea-size hail, cloud-to-ground lightning, and a brief amount of heavy rain. We note this thunderstorm is shooting off quite a bit of lightning over the last several minutes. I don't have the lightning data enabled on this display, but those of you under the storm definitely know there's a lot of cloud-to-ground lightning right now. The storm is generally moving off to the north at about 35 miles an hour. It is not severe at this point. We'll keep an eye on it just in case. We note these thunderstorms sample the circulation approaching Wellington could be rain-wrapped. Very strong indications of circulation now. And there definitely could be a rain-wrapped tornado 5 to 6 miles southwest of Wellington moving towards Wellington. Those of you in Wellington need to be in a safe place. It's going to be the lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. Those of you in Wellington in the eastern Texas Panhandle, northeast of Memphis, south of Shamrock, north of Childress, need to move to your safe places immediately. Potential for a rain-wrapped tornado now 6 to 7 miles southwest of town, moving towards town at 40 miles an hour. In addition, baseball-sized hail may fall near and north of the tornadic circulation. This storm will then continue moving east, northeast, pretty much right down 203, into western Oklahoma. Eventually may approach Willow, Oklahoma down the road. Those of you in Wellington, again, you need to be in a safe place, lowest floor, center room away from windows. No mobile homes, no trailers. You definitely don't want to be in a vehicle in this situation. So that's what the circulation looks like from the Amarillo radar. We'll take a look from the Frederick Radar. Not getting a great view, unfortunately. We'll take a look at this thunderstorm southwest of Crowell coming up towards Ford City and Trescott. Pretty good mesocyclone with this, assuming the circulation's not rain-wrapped. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's rain-wrapped or not, to be honest. It could put a tornado down again at any time, along with very large hail. Storm's moving east at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Notice, that is a beeline towards the Wichita Falls area. And there's a decent chance this storm's going to make it there in about 2 to 3 hours. Could still be producing large hail, damaging winds, maybe even still tornadic. So I just want to give an early heads up to y'all in Wichita Falls. Y'all are probably going to have some rowdy storms in your area. As this storm moves east at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. Heading up into the Panhandle again, we have a tornado warning approaching the town of Wellington. Possibility of a rain-wrapped tornado now 5 to 6 miles southwest of town, moving east at 40. It's going to be close whether or not this passes over town or just south of town. Either way, y'all need to be in shelter. North of the circulation, a very intense hail core capable of producing baseball-sized hail. That could be wind-driven at that, so definitely capable of quite a bit of damage just from the hail alone. We also note a tornado is about to cross Interstate 40 near Okemah, Oklahoma. That's east of Shawnee, east of Oklahoma City, east of Seminole. Coming up to Okemah, Oklahoma. You can see that clear, well-defined hook echo there. Which way the wind's blowing mode. You can see we've got blues moving towards the radar east of Oklahoma City at about 78 miles an hour. Wind's moving away at about 40, so we've got a circulation of 125 to 130 miles per hour gate to gate. Very close proximity, and storm chasers are reporting a tornado in progress. We also note a little stormy down here in southeastern Cleveland County, moving into Potawatomi County, Oklahoma. Somewhat similar path as this first tornado warned storm. This storm's starting to show some indications of intensifying. Pretty good hail core aloft. So folks who might be doing damage recovery out there need to remain aware of that. We'll go back into northwest Texas as the clock hits 7:38 on the 4th of May, 2022. Good evening. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy-in-Chief David-Reimer. It is a busy evening on the 4th of May, 2022. Keeping an eye on multiple severe thunderstorms in the state of Texas and Oklahoma this evening. We've had tornadoes just southeast of the Oklahoma City metro. We've had multiple tornadoes with this Supercell Thunderstorm that passed south of Paducah, now approaching Ford City and possibly Trescott and Crowell. This storm could have a rain-wrapped tornado in addition to baseball-sized hail. The storm's probably about to put a tornado down as it crosses Highway 6, very near Ford City or Crowell. We also have a possible tornado crossing Highway 83 just south of the city of Wellington in the Panhandle. We'll switch back up to, actually, you know what, we'll just stick with this radar. It's good enough. You can see strong rotation with this thunderstorm crossing over Highway 83 soon. Potential for baseball-sized hail in the city of Wellington. If there's a tornado, it's probably wrapped in rain, so don't bother going to look for it. All right, this is going to be a new tornado warning for Ford County. This goes through 8:30 p.m. A severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado was located 8 miles northwest of Trescott or approaching Ford City, moving east at 20 miles an hour. This thunderstorm is capable of producing damaging hail. So if you're on Highway 6 in Ford City, north of Trescott from Crowell south, you need to be in a safe place, lowest floor, center room, away from windows. Put as many walls between you and the outside as possible. No mobile homes, no trailers, no vehicles. You don't want to be in a vehicle, a car, a truck, an 18-wheeler, a cattle hauler. When this thing comes crossing the highway, because even if there's not a tornado, this thing's probably throwing big-time hail out and could have a nasty rear-flank downdraft, more than enough to cause problems to cars, vehicles, 18-wheelers, cattle haulers, ice cream trucks, whatever might be out there. You know it's not out there? Iced coffee. And we know, take a look at the Wellington Storm, and then we're going to go take a look at Okemah, Oklahoma. They might have a big tornado about to hit Okemah, Oklahoma on I-40, and that's not good. Possible tornado now, maybe very close to Wellington. It may have passed a mile or two south of town if it's down. Otherwise, Wellington, y'all are probably being visited by wind-driven baseball-sized hail. Storm moving east at 40 miles an hour. It's going to be moving after Wellington, moving east along Highway 203, which turns into Highway 9 in Oklahoma, Vinson, McKnight, Reed, and then eventually Mangum, Oklahoma. Could be an issue for y'all. Now let's get into Oklahoma. We're going to take a look at this storm. Let me tell you, we got problems. This is Okemah, Oklahoma. We got big problems. What could be a major tornado is on Interstate 40, just west of Okemah, Oklahoma. Winds moving towards the radar, east side of Oklahoma City, almost to 100 miles an hour, moving away at 40. This is a very violent-looking circulation with the potential to produce a large and destructive tornado on Interstate 40, moving into a populated town, Okemah, Oklahoma. Not good. So again, that's east of Oklahoma City, west of Henrietta, Oklahoma, well southwest of Tulsa, east of Oklahoma City by probably 60 or 70 miles. Okemah, Oklahoma, what could be a large destructive tornado about to move into town. Back to Texas we go. Let's take a look at the storms. Let's start in the Edwards Plateau. You know, I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but I'm not upset it did. All right, severe thunderstorm warning for Del Rio to Bracketville through 8 p.m. Looks like storm that moved in from Mexico has broadened out in terms of outflow. We were showing winds close to 80 miles an hour a bit earlier. Not seeing that now. Still could have hail up to the size of golf balls east of Del Rio. And then we also have additional storms back in northern Mexico that are going to be moving east as well. The possibility for some hail, some strong winds, and the possibility of some street flooding. All right, let's go into the big country. We've got severe thunderstorm warning still around Aspermont for the storm that doesn't look like it's really moved. So this storm continues to be capable of producing large hail, damaging winds, probably a decent amount of flash flooding. Let's see what the radar thinks in terms of precipitation totals just over the last hour. Radar thinks we might have had over 2 inches of rain. That's certainly reasonable, so there could definitely be some street flooding, bar ditches overflowing, etc. Storm southwest of Ruby could have some nickel-sized hail. Heading on into the DFW Metroplex, we've still got a storm shooting off lightning, maybe some small hail, pea-sized hail, maybe dimes. Moving into Farmers Branch, now northeast of the DFW DFW Airport, at least the east sides of the airport, over 635 all the way to Richardson. I'm sure several folks have found out what roads get slippery and are crashing. This will continue moving almost due north, so Dallas North Tollway all the way up from 635 through the President George Bush Turnpike, past the Sam Rayburn Tollway, all the way up to Highway 380 over the next 30 minutes, perhaps. Again, cloud-to-ground lightning, brief heavy rain, the potential for small pea-sized hail with this thunderstorm. It's not showing any indications of strengthening at this point. DFW Airport just reported pea-sized hail. So that makes sense. The storm moving north at about 40 miles per hour. We also note for our friends who were tracking the storm in Oklahoma, reports of a large destructive tornado approaching Okemah, Oklahoma. Again, we'll just come back up here. Switch over to the velocity mode. You can see violent circulation. I'm going to circle the hook. We're going to switch over to the debris tracker. We're looking for a blue donut. X marks the spot. That's a tornado debris signature. That could be vehicles, tree limbs, structural debris, etc. The radar is able to detect what's a hydrometeor, raindrop, hailstone, snowflake, and what's not, based on their shapes and sizes. And tornado debris has variable shapes and sizes, so unfortunately, we could have a significant tornado moving into a populated town, Okemah, Oklahoma, east of the Oklahoma City metro. Let's go back into the Texas Panhandle. For the most part, the Panhandle is mostly quiet with the exception of the far eastern Panhandle. Wheeler, not Wheeler. Technically, these two storms that were approaching Wheeler now east of Wheeler. Again, hail in Wellington most likely could be golf ball size, maybe bigger. If we have a tornado down, it's likely near Highway 83, maybe just east of it. That'll be moving into western Oklahoma soon. The potential for a rain-wrapped tornado from near McKnight to Vinson, Reed, east on Highway 9, which is 203 in Texas, over to eventually to Mangum. This will be staying north of Highway 62, north of Hollis, Gold, Duke, and staying north of Altus. Heading on down into northwest Texas, tornado warning for Ford County continues for a tornado that could be approaching Highway 6. Very strong indications of a tornado, in fact. I'd be willing to bet we do have one down. Check that out. That's a very strong gate-to-gate circulation. Let me turn off the warnings for a minute. There's several of them in the vicinity. We'll probe the data. We've got winds moving away from the Frederick Radar. At about 50. Winds moving towards at about 50. So about 105, 110 mile per hour winds. And we note this area of stronger winds just north of circulation. That's inflow. So the circulation aloft is intensifying. We've got a tornado now reported down southwest of Ford City. So this is a confirmed tornado in progress. Moving towards Ford City. It's not on the map here, but it's a small community that does show up on my other products. Those of you in Ford City on Highway 6, a tornado has been confirmed. And it is not that far southwest of Ford City, maybe 2 to 3 miles, if that. This tornado will be crossing over Highway 6 shortly. Those of you in the area, no travel on Highway 6 between Crowell and Trescott on the south. Multiple reports of a tornado now. Just southwest of Crowell. Another storm further west, by the way, will be crossing Highway 70 between Crowell and Paducah, the potential for damaging hail. Storms in the big country. One storm still sitting southeast of Aspermont, probably flooding. Another storm southwest of Ruby. This one's starting to perk up in the hail department. Looks like a hailer, maybe some quarter-size hail. New tornado warning that goes to the Oklahoma border from Wellington east to Dodson with that thunderstorm. That could have a rain-wrapped tornado. And then we've got this thunderstorm that has a confirmed tornado just southwest of Ford City. This is going to be southwest of Crowell by about 10 miles. You can see the circulation being depicted by the weather radar. That'll be approaching Highway 6 soon. Storm's also capable of producing damaging hail in Crowell, by the way. Tornado will stay south of Crowell, but the damaging hail will not. Storms in DFW look like they're either steady state or weakening. I don't think they're going to become severe unless something drastic changes, but could have some pea-sized hail now on President George Bush Turnpike from Interstate 35E over the Dallas North Tollway in Preston Road. This will be moving north through Hebron, or whatever, up into the Colony over the next several minutes, and then eventually Frisco and Little Elm. These storms are steady state, quick, brief, heavy rain. Maybe some very small hail and gusty winds, cloud-to-ground lightning. So again, continue to receive multiple reports of a tornado with this thunderstorm approaching Ford City, southwest of Crowell. This is a mostly rural area, but we know folks live out here, especially near Ford City. May not be many, but you're still folks. I don't care if you're in the middle of the DFW Metroplex, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, El Paso, Amarillo, Lubbock, Midland, Tyler, Longview, Paris, Sherman, Gainesville, Wichita Falls, or Vernon. You matter. This storm will be moving east at about 20 miles an hour. It's not moving quick, that's for sure. You can keep an eye on the sky with the Texas Storm Chasers Interactive Weather Radar on our website, texasstormchasers.com/radar, or just in our free mobile app. You can keep an eye on the storms in your neck of the woods or across the country. We're going to have a line of storms tomorrow that moves across essentially the southeastern two-thirds of Texas, give or take. This thunderstorm very near Ford City continues to have a tornado with it. You can see the velocity couplet. It's not the strongest I've seen, but it's certainly enough to produce a tornado, and indeed, that's what we have going on right now. Winds moving towards the radar in Frederick, Oklahoma at about 40, moving away about 50, 90 miles an hour, and we are looking at about 4,500 feet above the surface. So it may not be a strong tornado, but it's a tornado. And then nasty hail. This will stay south of Vernon. Eventually could impact Electra, Iowa Park, Wichita Falls, and Holiday. While I'm looking at some data, let us see. So this thunderstorm that is currently near Wellington, east of Wellington now mostly, will be passing very near Dodson, moving along Highway 203 east to Oklahoma, where it'll then move into Harmon County, passing very near McKnight, which is on the east side of the Texas border. Tornado crossing Highway 6, just Highway 6 south of Corral. So again, this circulation will be passing on Highway 20 near 203. Let me put some roads on here. Oh, excuse me. I've actually been up since 5 p.m. Tuesday. I believe I'm now running on about 26 hours of no sleep. But you know what? You got to do what you got to do. I unfortunately lost my license yesterday, so I had to go do that this morning. Okay, so again, this storm, Wellington, you're probably still getting gusty winds. The threat of a tornado now east of Highway 83. If you're on 83, you're cleared to go from this storm. There may be a few more storms later, but you're clear from this one. Those of you in Dodson, east of Wellington on Highway 203, and Harmon County, Oklahoma, Dodson, and then McKnight, Oklahoma, Vincent, Oklahoma, Hollis, Oklahoma. This will be y'all's problem next. The storm is right on a warm front and in a favorable position to produce rain-wrapped tornadoes. Let's go back down to our other storm. A tornado in progress now, coming up to Highway 6, south of Corral, what could be very near Ford City or just northeast of it. So it'd be near County Road 135. County Road 135 is just east of 6. County Road 152 is an east junction, staying south of Corral. So again, after this, we're going to be in a very sparsely populated area. Unfortunately, this storm is also making a beeline towards the Wichita Falls area. It's going to take a while. We're still probably at least 2 hours away, but say 8 o'clock now, this could be near Electra by 10 p.m., and it could still very well be a tornadic supercell producing significant severe weather. So those of you in Electra down to Wichita Falls, heads up. This thing's probably not going away anytime soon, so I'd go ahead and start making preliminary plans to have a hailstorm in the area. Just in case. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so we have a tornado very near Highway 6, south of Crowell. That was at least down west of the highway. Again, this is a cyclic supercell. So once one tornado lifts, we'll have to see if it puts another down. But you can see a very strong circulation. County Road 136, County Road 135. Right in the pendant of that hook, and there might even be a little tornado debris signature. Again, there's not really much out there to hit besides a wind farm, but again, that definitely has the potential to still be a tornado just east of Highway 6 now. And next up, this thing would be, assuming it continues moving east, would be Highway 283. And again, we're talking about a very sparsely populated area that should, I'll just measure it. We're 30 miles west of 283. The storm is moving at about 20 miles an hour, so it's still maybe an hour from 283 at least. And eventually, this could be a threat to the Wichita Falls area, from Electra down to Wichita Falls, Iowa Park, Holiday. As this moves due east, one of these long-lived supercells that keeps producing nasty hail and multiple tornadoes at this point. So let's check on the big country. Looks like the North Texas storms are weakening quickly. So that's not going to be a problem. Storms in the big country. One storm southeast of Aspermont actually looks like it's starting to move now. Well, hallelujah. Y'all won on the rain bucket, though. Storm now probably a good 10 miles southeast of Aspermont, maybe moving towards Haskell now at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. If so, the potential for quarter-size hail. No indications of organized rotation right now. We've got a hailstorm just west of Ruby. No rotation, the potential for some quarter-size hail. Apparently, I need to stop pinning tweets on our Twitter because people are watching old videos. Sorry, folks, I'm one person. Let me find the tweet with the live video. There we go. Okay, well, apparently the Del Rio storm is going nuts now, and yeah, considering that was 200 miles away, I'd say. Oh, hello, that's a supercell. Well, that's a problem. This storm has rapidly intensified now. Wellington, you're clear, by the way, to come out of your shelter. Storms to your east. This thunderstorm coming towards Bracketville definitely is a supercell. The potential for damaging hail, straight line winds over 70 miles an hour. You can see the radar thinks there's hail larger than the size of baseballs, closer to softballs. Don't know if it's that big, but either way, those of you in Bracketville, this storm will be approaching you in about 30 minutes, so around 8:30 p.m. If this turns right, it may pass closer to Spofford, but again, latest scan, you can see nasty indications of hail, potential for golf ball size hail at least, if not larger. And we're also showing straight line winds over 60 miles an hour. So wind-driven destructive hail. That's a good way to lose windows, siding, all that. And we note a thunderstorm south of Iran, northeast of Sanderson. Let's pop on over and say hello. And by the way, I haven't been keeping an eye on it, I'm sorry, but thank you for all those who have been sending super chats and stars. Appreciate it. This is a thunderstorm over mainly rural areas. Eventually, it will cross over Highway 349 about 20 miles south of Sheffield, which is where 349 and 10 hit, or intersect, excuse me. Storm near south of Rotan seems to be spiking up in the hail department. Those of you near Ruby are probably getting some quarter-size hail at least. Another tornado warning for Ford County for this long-lived supercell that's been a transient tornado producer. This tornado warning will also go into Wilbarger County. It does not include the city of Vernon. This storm should stay south of Vernon. Tornado now likely east of Highway 6 by a few miles. Very strong rotation with this thunderstorm. A tornado continues to be reported. So this thunderstorm continues to produce tornadoes, still has one down now east of Highway 6, moving east. Maybe a little east-northeast at about 20 miles an hour. So those of you in Electra, again, this is still probably an hour and a half to 2 hours away. But keep an eye out. All right, I am going to take a quick break. Stream will stay on with radar. You just won't hear my voice for a few minutes.